Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. Folks, I hope you all had a great Christmas because I know my Raiders fans certainly did with their 20-14 road victory over Patty Mahomes, the MVP, and the defending Super Bowl champions in the Kansas City Chiefs. This was the first time the Raiders won against Kansas City in quite some time. In fact, way too long. And I really think Antonio Pierce he's implemented this certain edge and this certain intensity to this Raiders defense that just has me licking my chops, man. Their defense is so freaking good. They've been a good defense all season, and people are finally starting to take note. They had 2 defensive touchdowns. Defensively, they're getting touchdown after touchdown after touchdown in the last couple of weeks. It's been insane. They held Patrick Mahomes, the reigning MVP, the reigning Super Bowl champions, to just 235 passing yards, 1 touchdown, that interception, the pick 6 by Jack Jones. Patrick Mahomes was actually the leading rusher, but Kansas City Chiefs, they ran 25 times for only 85 yards, averaging just 3.4 yards per carry. Now, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't sexy. In fact, there weren't any completions outside of the first quarter there offensively, but Aidan O'Connell did what he needed to do. They dominated the trenches on both sides of the football, and that's been the reoccurring theme with Josh Jacobs, with Zamir White. Defensively for the last month plus, they've been winning the trenches, and folks, if you can win in the trenches, you can win football games. Now, we're going to talk about Antonio Pierce, we're going to talk about Aidan O'Connell, we're going to talk about that victory over Kansas City in tonight's video, but before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, along with a couple of Raiders videos every single week. Raiders fans, are trying to get this video to 250 likes. That would mean the absolute world to me. So, we'll talk about this defense in just a second, but I want to say Zamir White, game-clinching 43-yard rush after the Kansas City Chiefs touchdown. This dude in the last 2 games with Josh Jacobs being out has really cemented himself as a roster spot for next season. And the only reason I bring that up is because Zamir White, drafted out of Georgia, this dude was a stud in high school. Dealt with some injuries in college and in high school and fell to the Raiders relatively late in the draft. And you had Josh Jacobs and you paid Josh Jacobs. And, the writing was not on the wall for Zamir White. And so far in this season, we're sitting here thinking, this dude might get cut right away in the offseason because he has not produced for us. In the last 2 weeks, he has done more than enough to cement himself with a roster spot next season. 22 attempts, 145 yards, 6.6 yards per carry against the top 5 Kansas City Chiefs defense. I absolutely love it. Now, I do just want to say this real quick about Aidan O'Connell. I think Aidan O'Connell can play. I certainly do. Sometimes I wish he was a little bit more mobile. There were at least 2 instances yesterday afternoon where I thought, oh, if he could, if he wasn't slower than Derek Carr, he would be running for a first down right now. 9 of 21, only 62 yards. They didn't really throw the ball outside of the first quarter. Now, I just want to say, this dude and the Raiders defense hung up 63 on the Chargers a week ago. But the week before that, they were shut out by the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not fully on board with Aidan O'Connell being QB1 next season. I do think he is capable of it. I'm not saying draft a QB in the first round. What I am saying is it's a very deep quarterback draft class. You can take a QB between rounds 2 and 5. Let him and Aidan battle it out, because I know the current report is that Jimmy Garoppolo gets cut. From a cap space standpoint, it really doesn't make much sense. And in fact, I will just say it right here. I think Jimmy G will be on the Raiders next season. No, it doesn't make much sense because that was a Josh McDaniels guy. So maybe because of that, he won't be a Raiders quarterback next season. But the point still stands. I have not seen enough consistency from Aidan O'Connell. We can throw in here offensive line. We can throw in injuries. We can throw in that he was a rookie that was thrown into the mix halfway through the season. What else can you expect him to do? I was thinking about Joe Burrow earlier today, and I was thinking, Joe Burrow got that horrible Bengals offensive line to the Super Bowl, but then I was thinking, Joe Burrow was drafted where he was because of the collegiate career he had, and the expectations for Aidan O'Connell are not even close. Getting a franchise QB is not as simple as, we'll just draft one. We'll just develop one. Franchise QBs, dudes that actually make a difference, guys like, Cam Newton was just talking about, they don't just fall off trees. And it takes a lot of luck to get one. And so for that reason alone, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, whatever your first round draft pick number is, go ahead, take a quarterback, whatever. I love the idea of having like Jaden Daniels as an early second round draft pick QB for Las Vegas next season. But the point is, Aidan O'Connell can play, and if he had a healthier, more competent offensive line, I'm sure he'd be slinging some numbers up like we saw in the first time he played Kansas City, or even just over a week ago when they took on the Los Angeles Chargers. But I just haven't seen enough consistency, because I genuinely think if this team had like a healthy, competent QB1 for an entire season, the way this defense is played, with Josh Jacobs, with Devontae Adams, with all the weapons offensively, and the way the defense is played, this would be a team in the playoffs. Without, Josh McDaniels is obviously thrown into that equation, but the point still stands. I'm not necessarily sold on it. Now, defensively, guys, they're the real freaking deal. Jack Jones with another pick six, absolutely beautiful, but Nate Hobbs with 11 total tackles, joining Robert Spillane with 11 total tackles. Robert's been a phenomenal free agent acquisition by this defense. Double D, Divine Diablo, Amik Robertson, with the absence of Marcus Peters getting cut about a month ago, has been a really good cornerback one. But there's a player who's really making a name for himself in the second half of the season, but just in general the entire season. It doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but Malcolm Koonce, in the last month or so, it has been showing up on the stat sheet. And with Raiders, guys, we're always sitting here talking about, man, if they could just get somebody else other than Max Crosby to get to that damn QB. Like a year and a half ago, the answer was Chandler Jones. Obviously, that did not pan out. I hope he is okay and everything gets figured out there. But the point still stands. Malcolm Koonce is breaking out right before our eyes. He's got 7 total sacks on the season. He has 3 forced fumbles. He's coming off a game where he had a bunch of forced fumbles, a bunch of sacks. Kansas City, yesterday afternoon, he had 6 total tackles, but most importantly, he had 3 total sacks. We're pairing him up with Max Crosby, and it's got me licking my chops. Malcolm Koonce is just 25 years old, and he is making a huge name for himself on this Raiders defense. So the point is this. They're 7-8. They're not going to make the playoffs, and that's okay. The future is very bright. And Patrick Graham and Antonio Pierce, they have done a phenomenal job with the defense all season long. And it has me so excited because I cannot remember the last time the Raiders had a defense like this. And these last 2 weeks, to me, is just a glimpse into the future of what this Raiders defense is and will be. And offensively, if they can just, fill out that offensive line, get a quarterback, figure out the quarterback position, whatever it's going to be, watch out for this team for the next couple of years. So that's it for tonight. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. But Raiders fans, is Antonio Pierce your head coach next season, and is Aidan O'Connell your QB1? Peace.